Inside Lansing, where today's guest is Podgorski, the Village Administrator for the Village of Lansing. Thanks for being here.
Hey guys, thanks for having me on. Appreciate it.
Yeah, we haven't seen you in a while, so
yeah, it's been a couple of years since I was on, and happy
COVID and everything happened, so it's been kind of crazy time since we've seen you. So let's first start on like simple stuff like the corridor. Let's talk about the Lansing Corridors. Let's talk about, some people might not know what the corridors are, so maybe you understand what that is and then why they're important, what's happening.
Sure. So from a development standpoint, we look at the Torrance Avenue corridor as being kind of one continuous piece of development that is central to Lansing's success. It's the first thing that people see when they're coming off the expressways. And really, it extends through Calumet City. It goes really to 159th Street, spans a couple of different municipalities. And then probably our other corridor would be our downtown. Ridge Road is more a smaller corridor, but it certainly has the feel of being more than just a couple of pieces of development that we work on. So development being one of the most important things, every day it's a top priority. So, Torrance Avenue at Thornton Lansing Road in Torrance. Okay. A lot of residents will notice that the village acquired some properties on the east side of the street, the old Rosemore Funeral Home, the old Artland Photography,
yes.
The old Gentleman's Shop. So we've knocked them down. That piece of land is ready for new development. We've already entered into an agreement with a developer who is going to bring what we hope to be some national retailers on that site. The first retailer we believe is going to be Starbucks. We're not 100% with all the T's crossed and the I's dotted, but that's what we believe is coming to that site. And so the development will be set back a little bit. It won't be built right up on the street like a lot of those older buildings on Torrance. We're allowed to build really right next to Torrance Avenue. Okay. We're looking for those buildings to be set back with parking in front and a little bit more of a decorative landscape. So we hope that's going to lead to other retailers. Once Starbucks comes to a town, usually have some other retailers that say, hey, well, if Starbucks is there, I want to be there too.
Right.
And so we're starting to get those kinds of calls, and we're hoping that first, I guess what we are calling a first phase, which starts at Thornton Lansing Road and runs through the old Rosemore Funeral Home. We hope that extends now to a phase 2 and a phase 3 involving some other properties on Torrance. Maybe the one bigger piece of news I definitely want to convey, the old Kmart box, which has been sitting vacant for 4+ years,
yes.
Is going to be redeveloped. So there's a national retailer that does food and fuel. It's called Quick Trip. Quick Trip has over 850 locations nationwide. So they'll have about an 8,500 square foot convenience center, and then they'll have about 25 fueling stations. So it'll be food and fuel. It's not constructed to be an overnight truck stop. It's not going to be the type of place where you go by and you see 30 trucks sitting on the side of the road spending the night. It's not meant to be that way. They fuel up and then they go. So we're really pleased to have a development that goes in one of these big boxes that recommits to retail. We'll get sales tax from the convenience center, and of course there's motor fuel tax from the sale of the gas, and it just kind of it just validates the I guess the opinion, the strategy we've had over the last few years of holding out for retail at these big box sites that we have in Lansing, which is a challenge. But of course, we're a major exit or entrance, from Interstate 80, and we have to hold out for retail. We also are confident that a retailer is going to develop the old Best Buy, a site which has been vacant for quite some time. Yes. That property went up for auction late in the fall, and we know a retailer has purchased it. Not sure that they're ready to announce yet what they're doing.
Not ready to announce who it is.
That'll be coming, I think, before the end of the year. We'll have some movement on that, but I know it's going to be retail. So we're just super excited to have the validation of, hey, you know what, we're not going to give in to something that's less than retail. So again, happy that that's going to be continuing to take place, and you just got to stay the course sometimes.
Yeah, of course. One thing that we could talk about that's, we developed a couple of years ago in town here, but now we could see some new updates coming this summer is Fox Pointe.
Yeah.
So maybe we could briefly talk a little bit about that. I know we'll talk more later with our our Fox Pointe director, but maybe you could talk a little bit about the updates that are happening.
Sure. Well, we're super excited. Hopefully, if we get into, we're in phase 4 with COVID right now, and hoping that as more people get their shots, we'll go to this bridge phase that the governor has set up, and then we hope to get to phase 5 before the summer is over. Residents will be happy to find out we have a full season planned at Fox Pointe. Our Wednesday night concert series will be back, and we have some festivals lined up as well. It's all in pencil right now, because if we take a step back in COVID.
I like that term, pencil.
Yeah. If we have to erase it, we will. Just like we did last year. We had a season lined up last year, and then we had to cancel as we went along. So the Wednesday night shows will start the first Wednesday in June. And we have some festivals lined up. I think a Blues Fest, I think an 80s Fest, and then LACE, the Lansing Association for Community Events, they're planning their Autumn Fest again, which would close the season in September. So a few changes people will notice. We're constructing an addition to the concession building, so there will be a dedicated building just for food. Residents probably won't even notice the difference, because the architecture has been constructed in a way that it's just an extension of the building that was there. So we'll have more lines for beverages, and we'll have more lines for food. That was one of the things that in the 2019 season, when we had some of those real popular dates, we noticed that the lines for concession were
very popular.
They were long. Our goal is to make a really positive impression on people when they come out there every time. We've added some windows to the existing building and built the extension that will feature a Fox Pointe food vendor. There'll be some consistency. There will be one vendor that will run the food for us all year long. So residents will notice that. Last 2 years ago, we had a kind of a rotating set of vendors, and we're looking for some consistency in the food. And overall, we're just looking for better service.
And that's exciting, because changes like that show that, not only are you guys invested, but that the town, you said the long lines, the amount of people that come out to these events, even during the, we did have a bit of a season last year in the fall. We had some events like the Halloween stuff. There were lots of people that came out for that. So, it's exciting to see. I'm excited to see this new season, because, we'll finally kind of be maybe fully opened, or at least partially open, but more so than we were last year. And I think that people are going to respond real positively to that.
I totally agree with you. The holiday offerings was something we felt we could do in a COVID-safe way last year, and we really think that's something we can expand on. So, we're looking for ways to use Fox Pointe, not just as a venue for musical entertainment, but we certainly think there's a 2 or 3 month window at the end of the year where we can really play up on the holidays. And we really think we can make it a destination for people that just want to come out and see decorations and participate in some Halloween, Thanksgiving, or Christmas offerings as well. So we're trying to run it as something that's attractive to more than just the people that live in our town. We want to bring people from out of town to Lansing and have them spend some of their entertainment dollars here. That'll boost sales taxes. That also increases the viability. And we go back to the word corridor, that increases the viability of the Ridge Road corridor, and gets other business owners looking at the vacancies on Ridge Road and
just
say, hey,
walk over there.
I want to open up a business here. And you're going to see that later this year. We have a couple of wine bars opening up on Ridge Road. One Trick Pony is going to finally make the move over to Ridge Road.
Great.
That's, we've been talking about that, seems like forever. That should be happening later this year. I don't know that they'll get open in 2021. If they do, it'll be probably late in the season, maybe for the holidays. We've got a home decor interior designer. It's a business called Cadeau at 3336 Ridge Road, which has sat vacant for 20 plus years. So residents are going to see a new business going in there as well. And there's some other vacancies on Ridge we're working on. So, and those opportunities are being created by the excitement at Fox Pointe. So, they work hand in hand.
And that's the whole point, is that we want these destination places, destination drivers, in a sense, in this town, and it's starting to show the fruits of the labor. Even after a year of COVID, it's starting to show, and I think that's a big positive to look at. That.
Yep, absolutely.
I know another thing that's probably pretty close to your heart is the Lansing Sports Complex, and I don't know how much you could talk about, but I know there's some stuff happening over there, so maybe you could touch a little bit on what's developing over there.
Sure. So the Sports complex is on Chicago Avenue, north of 170th. If you get on, it's over there by Land of Frost, where the Lansing Police Department is. If you get on Chicago Avenue and you take it as far north as you can, you dead end at the sports complex. It's always been owned by the Village of Lansing. It's built on an old dump site, and it was developed in the late 70s by the village as ball fields. And those ball fields have been expanded on and more constructed over the years. Then the Lansing Old Timers, which is a not-for-profit youth sports organization, they ran the programs out there. So the village is starting to look at the sports complex, and you just used the term a few minutes ago, a destination driver. So the village is looking at starting to pick up the maintenance and the redevelopment of the sports complex. So for now, it's just about putting some money into the ball fields and the courts that are out there to kind of spruce them up from a maintenance standpoint. But ultimately, the goal is to have a facility that serves the recreational programs for Lansing residents, like what the Old Timers do. So Little League and softball and volleyball will always have a place to play. But also utilize the abilities of the village to flex and bring some travel and club programs that might want to play out there. And you look at some sponsorship opportunities. That in turn, again, brings people to Lansing. They gas up here, they get their food here, and they look at, maybe they wind up at Fox Pointe later. So it's all about, like you said, building those destination drivers, get people in your town. And when people are here, they usually wind up spending some money here.
So we talked about a couple of destination drivers, talked about Fox Pointe, talked about the Lansing Sports Complex, the corridors. Probably another one that maybe we could talk a little bit about, depending, is the hangar.
Yeah.
The hangar out at the airport. That could be a very big destination driver.
That absolutely is in our plans. The thought is to have three of these destination drivers. At the north end, you do the sports with the sports complex. In the middle of town, you got your Fox Pointe. And then on the south end, like you said, at the airport, we're looking at the old Ford hangar. So finally, after a lot of years, we've been able to exempt the Ford hangar from the FAA's grant assurances program. People are saying, what do you mean by that?
Yeah, what do you mean by that?
What is all of that? So in the past, because there's been federal and state grant dollars used to run the airport, and the Ford hangar is part of the airport, anytime we wanted to do something that was non-aeronautical, so think the fetching market that comes out there a couple times a year, we had to ask permission to do something non-aeronautical. The building itself right now is not really in great shape. It doesn't have much systems. There is some electrical, but there's no plumbing, there's no HVAC. So it's really beyond its useful life as an aeronautical building. And so the village has kind of pivoted a little bit and said, hey, let's develop this building as a part-time aviation museum, but also a venue that could be rented or utilized, similar to Fox Pointe, but different. Fox Pointe's more of an outdoor venue, right?
Yep.
The Ford hangar would be more of an indoor venue and something people could utilize in the wintertime. They've released the Ford hangar from the grant assurance program, which means the village we can begin to develop and utilize the Ford hangar as we see fit, aeronautical or non-aeronautical purposes, as long as we stay true to the architecture that landed.
Because it's protected.
Right, because that building is on the National Registry of Historic Places, because it was constructed by Henry Ford in the late 1920s. And so we have to stay true to its architectural integrity, and of course we will do that, because that's what makes it so unique.
Yeah.
And now that we've kind of received that clearance, that we don't have to ask permission, to use it for something that maybe is non-aeronautical. Now the thought is, okay, we need to find some money to invest in it, because it needs that system work. It needs to be stabilized. It's an old building, and old buildings start to decay and fall apart. So the plan is to start to fix it up, and then hopefully invest in some system work and transform it into a destination driver.
And we'd be so excited to have that in town. We're so excited that you guys are moving forward with that. Yeah. And I know there's a lot more we could probably talk about, but we have such limited time. And I really just want to ask you one personal question. Is just you know, people who came from town here know you originally as the mayor, and now you're our village administrator. What do you love about being in the village administrator role here in Lansing?
You know, just the opportunity really to better your hometown it's pretty unique. You know, not many people get the chance to live in a place for a long time, work in that place, and then see projects through to completion that benefit your hometown. And for me, that's where the job satisfaction comes. It comes from working on projects that you see from start to finish. Anytime we start a project in the municipality and you see it through to completion, and then because I live here, you know, you drive by that every day and you see that and you think, hey, you know, we had a hand in making that happen, and we got just a great team of employees and department heads in this town. Our elected officials are all humble public servants, and that culture doesn't exist in every town.
No.
I know that to be true. We have it really good in Lansing, and we just have to continue to work hard, and hopefully that culture will continue, and we'll be able to keep improving our town for many years to come.
Again, we could talk forever, but I just want to get a chance here just to say thank you again for being on the show, and we look forward to you on the next show.
Yeah, love being here. Thanks for having me, and we'll get together again soon.
And thank you for watching. We'll see you next time on Inside Lansing.